I'm Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, and on behalf of the citizens of Phoenix, I am honored to be with you here today as we celebrate this street dedication and signage in honor of Bishop Barnwell. We are so grateful to his service to the city of Phoenix and to the New Life Missionary Baptist community. Thank you to the Barnwell family for being part of today's dedication and letting us honor a man who did so much for this community. Mayor Phil Gordon once said that he was the voice and the conscience of the mayor and so many in the community. We are thankful for his lifetime of service in advancing civil rights, in making sure we all treat ourselves with respect, and in helping our city weather some of its most difficult times as a community and come out stronger. When the bishop joined as senior pastor at New Life, there were 30 members of the congregation and more than 1,000 when he departed. But he served so many more people than those within the church community. He really contributed to our city and its, at that time, more than 1 million inhabitants. Thank you for pushing us to be a better community, for reminding us and praying for us when we did not always deserve it, and for all you have done, including leaving a rich legacy in Lindo Park and a family that continues your legacy of service. This is an honor that the city bestows on very few individuals, but Bishop Barnwell, you are certainly one who deserves it. As we drive past 19th Avenue and Rozier, may we all be inspired to move towards equity and equality, to live a better life, and to take a moment of reflective prayer. Thank you. Congratulations.
Hello, I'm Keeney Knudsen, Director of the City of Phoenix Street Transportation Department. Our department is responsible for providing the safe, efficient, and convenient movement of people and goods within the city. We maintain nearly 5,000 miles of city streets, including pavement, traffic signals, streetlights, crosswalks, bike infrastructure, and more. That work, of course, is very important, and also rewarding, but sometimes we're able to work on special projects like this one, where we're talking about ceremonial sign toppers that honor somebody in our community. The ceremonial street signs we are here to unveil today tell a story and honor Bishop Barnwell's legacy of inclusion, service, and leadership that lives on in the city of Phoenix. Although because of COVID-19 pandemic, we are unable to have a large celebration and unveiling, I'd like to start with a few acknowledgements. Joining us today are Councilman Nowakowski, Councilman Garcia, Councilwoman Pastor, and Pastor Aubrey Barnwell. You will hear from them shortly. I'd also like to acknowledge my team. Please raise your hands. The Street Transportation Department's sign shop designed, fabricated, and installed the signs we'll be unveiling today. Thank you for your hard work. And thank you to Phoenix TV for being here to commemorate this event so that we can share it digitally with those who could not be in attendance today. Now I'd like to bring up to the podium Councilman Nowakowski.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm honored to be here today to speak about a man that had an impact not only in this community, but an impact on the city of Phoenix and on the whole state of Arizona. Bishop Barnwell was a man that believed in God, a man that believed in community, a man that believed in families. I remember when I was first running for city council back in 2007, I set up a meeting with Bishop Barnwell to ask for his endorsement. And he said, "Do you know where Miss White's Cafe is?" I go, "I sure do." He goes, "Well, I have about 45 minutes and let's go have something to eat and let's talk." And I said, "Absolutely, Bishop." So we sat down and we talked, and I was kind of rushing through my talk because I only had 45 minutes. And then he turned around and said, "Well, are you a man of faith?" I go, "Absolutely, Bishop." I go, "I studied 2 years to be a priest in the seminary, and then I worked 8 years as a director of Hispanic ministry. And he goes, all right. He goes, how about a man of faith, a man of family? I go, yes, sir. I have 3 children and 1 on the way and a beautiful wife. And he goes, okay. He goes, what about your community? What have you done for your community? And what are you doing now for your community? I don't want to know what you're going to do. What are you doing now? I said, well, I work for an organization, the Cesar Chavez Foundation, where we empower individuals and we provide affordable housing and all that. And he goes, so that 45-minute talk ended up to be close to about 3 hours. And we talked and talked and we kept on eating, and it was just incredible. The time just flew. But during that conversation, it was never about Bishop Barnwell. It was always about, what are you going to do for our community? What are you going to do for others? How are you going to keep God in your life while this journey of faith that he's put along in your pathway? And all of a sudden we became friends. And 20 days after I was elected, I started getting reports from the city police department that in this area right here by Lindo Park, that we were having drive-bys, and we actually had some people that have actually died. And then the first person I called was Bishop Barnwell. And he said, Michael, let's call a meeting and let's pray. And let's find out what we can do with all the different resources that the city of Phoenix has and that I have here at this church. So we called the meeting. We had about 20 to 30 people. And then together with the police, with the small businesses, people of faith, grandmothers, parents, unwed mothers, we all came together to take back this neighborhood. And one of the things that I remember about Bishop Barnwell, he goes, you know what we're going to do? He goes, I'm not happy with just 20 or 30 people here. We should have the whole community here. And what I want to do is a prayer vigil. But it's not just going to be a prayer vigil. We're going to be mobile. We're going to walk in a procession, and we're going to call everybody out to take their piece of the pie and make sure that we take back this neighborhood. And that's exactly what we did. We met here with a powerful opening prayer, and then we walked down the streets of this Lindo Park area, and we took back this neighborhood. And one of the things that we asked is, what do you all want in this neighborhood? And over, people were saying, we want a park. We want to take back Lindo Park. We want to make sure that our children can use this park. So that's exactly what we did. We talked to the county. We got our parks director involved. We got all the different departments involved. And now this small little park, Lindo Park, became a mega park with a community center where children can come together to learn how to read and write and have mentors there. We have a place where people can have baseball leagues, basketball leagues coming all together. And the one thing I learned from Bishop Barnwell, it's the power of prayer, the power of people under the banner of faith, love, and unity. And that's why I believe that this sign here is a fine example and sign for everybody crossing by that this is a man of faith, a man of family, and a man of community. So on behalf of the city of Phoenix and my experience with Bishop Barnwell, and on behalf of his family that is so involved in the community, I just really want to thank you for allowing your father, your husband, to be a part of our lives and to make the change that he did for the city. God bless you all. And I know that I can feel his presence right here with us. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Olkowski, for those great words. And I would like to bring up Councilman Garcia to share some words as well.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. And thank you, Councilman Olkowski, for sharing that experience. What I want to talk about is, we learned a lot of things through this pandemic. I think one of the important things is hopefully admiring those that came before us. And all the work, this was recent work, but there was many decades where it was a lot harder to get things done, where representation wasn't there when it was needed. And so a lot of the groundbreaking things that the bishop and others did for many years allow us to come after them. And so I want to recognize that we are building on their shoulders. Having recently lost Mr. Good, who I have the privilege of following in the footsteps in District 8, I've been contemplating a lot about the things that were harder for them, that may be easier to us, and the lives that they had to live, not only to be true to some of the values that were just spoken, to work for family, for faith, but they had to confront enemies that we might not have now, or that might not be so present now. I think the same went for Congressman Pastor. And so I think with this signage, with being able to place the name up there, it means a lot more that the future generations, that our children are going to be able to learn, are going to question themselves, why is this person's name there? Who were they? And hopefully through that, they will be able to learn these legacies and follow in those footsteps. And so I too want to thank the family, the community for sharing Bishop with us. And you know, sometimes we spend a lot of time away from our families, and I think we forget to appreciate how that sacrifice was for the greater good. And so we're thankful and excited to be able to display this sign, and hope that many generations toward the future will question and learn the greatness of the bishop and everyone around them. So thank you all so much for allowing us to be here. Thank you to the staff and the workers who are gonna make this possible. And I'm just really honored to be here. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Councilman Garcia. Now I'd like to invite up to the podium Pastor Aubrey Barnwell.
Grace and peace to each of you. I'm grateful to be here on this day. I want to acknowledge the presence of my family, my mother, Sheila Barnwell, my sister, Darlene Barnwell, my brother, Timothy Barnwell, my adopted brother, Reverend David Jones, and my wife, Linda Barnwell. I want to say thank you to the City of Phoenix, as well as the City Council, especially to these council persons who are here, for the support that you have given and you gave to my father while he was here. As I reflected over this time and thought about all that he had done and all that he had desired to do, we moved to this location, the church, in 1983. And in 1983, there was not a light here. And you can see that 19th Avenue is rather busy. He moved into the building and began to observe that there was something going on here that could be dangerous for the community. And he said, we need a light. So he called Rosemary Wilcox, and told him, we need a light here at 19th Avenue and Rozier. And that light is here today. His desire and his hopes were for, as it relates to the church, is that we not just be here as an icon, but that we be here connected to the community, that we connect with where we are, that we are representative of the place we have been worshiping. And so he wanted that connection. And so he set for me, I follow him in leadership, and he set for me a standard that says that we need to be connected to the community. We need to know the people who we are around. We need to understand that. And even to this point, as we think about him and who he was in doing that, how can you connect the church to the community? How is it that we can connect people, politics and church connected, people and community connected? How is it that we do that? He would do it this way. If you were to call him in the morning, if he didn't call you first, the question is how are you doing, Bishop? And he would say, I'm trusting in the Lord. In order for this to take place, in order for us to be standing here today and for this sign to be going up, it was a matter of trust. He trusted the Lord and he said, I'm going to do, and I do everything that I can do to be a standard, to be a light in the middle of darkness. And in 2020, we went through some traumatic experiences, but we made it through. And so I'm grateful to be standing here in January of 2021, being able to unveil this sign that carries his name. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm thankful to each one of you. And here's the last thing that I would say in regards to Kim and in following Kim and First New Life still being here. And this is the word that I would close with. I'm still trusting.
Thank you, Pastor Barnwell. I'd now like to invite to the podium Councilwoman Laura Pastor.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the Barnwell family, especially Sheila, for me having the pleasure and of being able to carry the torch of making sure that the sign was placed where it needed to be placed. So thank you for trusting me, along with my colleagues, to make sure it happened. Bishop Barnwell, the Barnwell family in general, but Bishop, I met through my father, and through the years of the politicalness and community, I grew up with the family and with Bishop. The greatest thing about Bishop is that he was mentoring, and what he did is he mentored me throughout my political career. And he would sit me down and he would talk to me and he would say, here are the issues going on in the community. This is how we think you can solve it. Let's go meet other parishioners. Let's go to other churches. And so he took me by the hand, or by the hand, and would introduce me to everybody within the community that he felt that I needed to know and that they needed to know me. So I'm very blessed for that. I also want to say he also told me, you trusted in the Lord, Laura. You always got to trust in the Lord. And so I always do that. And there are times where I think of him and I'm like, okay, this is what he would tell me. Trust in the Lord, especially when there's some difficult items in front of me and I have to remember and reflect back to those that came before us and the courage that they had to do what they needed to do, the right thing, for the community and making it happen. And to always remember the impact that you make is really for the community. It's not about me and it's not for myself. It's for the community and the whole collective as to why you do what you do. So I want to thank everybody. And I want to thank the Barnwell family for trusting in me. And of course, I will still continue trusting in the Lord. Thank you.
The City of Phoenix Street Transportation Department is honored to play a role in celebrating the legacy of Bishop Barnwell through these ceremonial signs. So without further ado, I'd like to ask our street transportation crew to unveil the ceremonial street sign toppers to honor Bishop Barnwell.
I've seen banners go up. I've seen jerseys get retired. I've seen it all. Boxing gloves signed and put away. But to see a street sign, this is the first time I've been able to witness this and be a part of it. And for such a great person that really loved this community, I think this is one of the best ways that he can be recognized. As Pastor Barnwell mentioned, this church and what this church stood for was community. That sign and where it stands right now represents community, and the individual that is on the sign that represents this area right now is also community. So I think community is the key word here, and Bishop Barnwell will forever be remembered.